Hey everybody, this is Todd V with ArtsQuest. Today we're at the historic Cedar Theater. We're going to learn a little bit about the history of the theater and also all the cool things you can see here. Let's check it out.
Cedar originally opened in 1926 as a silent movie theater, so it's been in existence now for over 80 years. The lobby in here is pretty much how it was. Of course, when it opened up, it was originally a single-screen theater. I think it sat just under 1,200 people, and now in 1983 it was actually split into two auditoriums. And then a few years later, we took over some space next door and added a couple more screens. And then a few years after that, took over some more space, and so now the theater is a 6-screen theater. We show, independent films. We definitely show some Hollywood studio films, but they're usually more of their Oscar-winning kind of caliber. We show pretty obscure foreign films as well. We show kind of exploitation movies as part of our cult series, and we just have a really kind of eclectic mix of films that we play here.
We hear a lot of groans from the movie industry today that it's difficult for you guys to make a buck. Now, focusing on these sort of obscure movies, how do people even know they want to come see one?
Well, that's where my job gets a little challenging sometimes, is making sure people know that these movies exist and trying to encourage them to come see them here, because as people can watch a lot of movies at home, just whether it's streaming Netflix or whatever, they don't really have to leave their house. So encouraging them to come out to the theater is sometimes a challenge, but I think we give people a really unique experience here, and people really have a passion about the Cedar Theater, and they enjoy coming here, and they know that when a film's playing here, it has a certain level of quality to it, so that they want to come out and see it.
The other thing I find interesting is you guys also have beer and wine available.
Yes.
Which is not your usual movie fare.
Correct, yeah. The Cedar Theater was actually the first theater in the country that had sold beer and wine, and we have a beer and wine license here at our Shaker Square Theater and our new Capitol Theater on the west side. Actually, that theater has a full liquor license, although right now we're only selling beer and wine there as well.
Oh, so there are other theaters that are part of this grouping?
Yes, yeah.
Are they of the same business model?
No, each theater is kind of different. We actually operate currently 8 theaters in Northeast Ohio and 1 theater in Pittsburgh. The Cedar is really the only one that's currently kind of exclusively playing independent and art film stuff. The Capitol Theater on the near west side is also playing kind of mainstream and independent stuff. Like today we're opening up Serious Man, and we've got a great little film called Me and Orson Welles opening up there soon too. The Cleveland International Film Festival several years ago got some special funding to do regional marketing, and they really have gotten aggressive. They pursued like people in-state from like Columbus and other areas like that, but also in Pittsburgh and Buffalo, and we have people that come here and actually just take their vacation just to come to the film festival.
That festival itself has gotten a lot of prestige in the last few years.
Yeah, it's really grown. Actually, their attendance last year grew by 28%. They had almost 67,000 people at the film festival last year. It was huge.
What time of year is that typically goes? I mean,
the film festival is usually mid to the end of March. I believe the dates coming up are like the 18th to the 28th of March this year.
So for that, they could look at what website so they can get more?
That is actually clevelandfilm.org. That's the website for the Cleveland International Film Festival.
Very cool. So we'll definitely check that out so we know what's coming up in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a website for Cedar Lee as well.
Right. The Cleveland Cinemas website is clevelandcinemas.com, where you can get information about the Cedar Lee and all of our other theaters.
So what is the future for the Cedar Lee?
Well, the future for the Cedar Lee is kind of, we've started a couple years ago showing some alternative programming through digital cinema, where we show high-definition operas. We've also done like a classic high-definition Hitchcock series and things like that. So digital cinema really has opened up a lot of opportunities to do some things that were kind of cost prohibitive before. If you had to make a 35mm print for everything, the expense of that is just very cost prohibitive. So now through these new outlets, you're able to show these awesome things that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to show.
Are you one of the theaters that has done those collaborations like with Broadway, where they're showing Bob M and then?
We do, but none of our productions are live. We don't have a satellite link up. Everything that we've done has been it's on a server and it's delayed. But we actually just showed this very very cool kind of film version of La Boheme as part of our HD opera series.
Is that edited, or is it just like a live?
It was an edited film version. Most of the other ones are live stage productions. This was a very kind of a hybrid, almost between like a performance stage piece and a film. It was a very unique kind of experience.
How does film keep up today? I mean, now today at home, I can get my 50-inch plasma screen TV
Sure.
and surround sound and make my popcorn with all the butter and cheese on it.
Well, that's true. I mean, definitely home theater has improved greatly, you know, in the last several years, certainly, and costs are coming down. So a lot of people have home theater systems, but ultimately, you know, unless you have a giant living room, you're not going to get that communal experience and invite, you know, 100 of your friends over to watch a comedy or something, you know, which I think is still where movie theaters, even your 50-inch plasma isn't nearly as big as our screens here at the theater, with the exception of maybe some of our screening rooms where we show the little smaller films, but, you know, we're opening up like a historic epic with, you know, great battle scenes or something like that. That's going to look much more impressive on, you know, our screens than it is sitting in your house.
So then, is everything you're showing now digital?
No, actually here at the Cedar Lee, everything that we show is still on 35mm film, with the exception of the operas or the occasional like HD series that we'll do. And any time that we're showing something digitally, we always denote that as saying it's an HD digital presentation. This theater, since it's playing a lot of smaller independent films from smaller distributors, they haven't really converted over to doing things digitally, because a lot of the other kind of comparable theaters in other areas that would play those films haven't converted to digital yet. Our new theater that we just opened up on the near west side, the Capitol Theater, is an all digital cinema. It doesn't have any 35mm projections. So we're totally in this gray period where we have theaters that have absolutely no digital equipment, and then we have other theaters that have nothing but digital equipment, and then we have some theaters that have a digital 3D screen, like the Shaker Square and Tower City cinemas. Most of their screens are film, but they have one auditorium that exclusively will do digital cinema now with like digital 3D and things like that. But here at the Cedar Lee, it's still, as of right now, it's all film with the exception of the opera programs.
You show stuff family friendly, or?
The Cedar Lee occasionally shows films that are family friendly, but it's certainly not, you know, when we had March of the Penguins, there were more kids in here than probably had been in the Cedar Lee for decades, you know, because generally the things that we play do tend to, you know, skew a little bit more adult. We are not afraid of showing more controversial films. You know, we just showed the film Antichrist, which was unrated, and, you know, no one under 18 would be admitted and things like that. Some other theaters would never even touch these for content reasons or whatever. We don't ever kind of censor the content of the films. You know, that's up to the audience. If they want to see it, you know, they can buy a ticket and they can see it. If they don't want to see it, they don't have to buy a ticket. That's not our decision. That's the, you know, customer's decision.